again in Interlagos. Welcome along to round 20 of the 21 races that make up the Formula One World Championship. In 2018, the driver title might be decided, but for the teams, this is a vital race weekend. Can Ferrari stop Mercedes getting their 5th successive Constructors' Championship? We'll find out in 71 laps time. We're here in Brazil, the 5th largest country in the world. Nearly 50% of South America's population reside in Brazil. And we're here in Sao Paulo, a city where there's about 8 million cars on the road. You're never more than 10 feet away from a traffic jam round here. In 2017, on this circuit, there were 37 on-track passes. Let's see if we can beat that this weekend. And a weekend that marks 6 years since McLaren's last race win. Here in Brazil, it was Jenson Button on the top of the podium. 71 laps to come then around this 2.67-mile circuit. It's tight and it's a short lap. 15 corners, 10 to the left and 5 to the right. You take your lap distance at full throttle for 68%, and there are only 6 braking zones, including turn 1, the Senna S's, where Juan Pablo Montoya stormed down the inside of Michael Schumacher in 2001. And also, through the long curve of the Sol, chances to overtake there as Max Verstappen proved in the rain in 2016. What a fantastic drive that was on his way to a podium that afternoon. Turn 12, 10 years ago, the World Championship was settled in Lewis Hamilton's favour as he got past Timo Glock at Juncel and disappointed and ruined the celebrations down at Ferrari. 3 different tyre compounds for this race: the medium tyre, the yellow stripes soft tyre and the red stripes super soft. There is a 40% risk of rain, so those inters and wet weather tyres are on standby at the moment. The clouds are looking a little bit threatening. Here's the starting grid then. Mercedes with a 100th pole in Formula One, and it's Lewis Hamilton that took it ahead of Sebastian Vettel, who was won from second here twice in the past. It's Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Räikkönen all finish second row, and then Max Verstappen alongside Marcus Ericsson with his highest ever grid spot at his 96th start. 7th place only for Charles Leclerc. Romain Grosjean keeps him company after a 12th Q3 appearance in 13 races. Pierre Gasly for Toro Rosso was in the top 10 as well, alongside Kevin Magnussen, the other Haas driver. Daniel Ricciardo got a 5-place grid penalty for a new turbocharger. He keeps Sergio Perez company. Nico Hülkenberg once again outqualified a teammate here, never beaten by a teammate at Interlagos. He's 13th. Brendan Hartley 16th. Carlos Sainz just ahead of him, and Sainz a very rapid starter. Fernando Alonso 17th. Esteban Ocon 18th because he took a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change. Lance Stroll with Williams' worst start here since 2007. Stoffel Van Dorn and a McLaren last on the grid for the second time in 4 years. Kimi Räikkönen never started in the top 3 here, has played a support role, Martin Brundle, to his teammate for most of the season, but Ferrari need him and Vettel to score big points today.
Yes, they've got to outscore Mercedes by at least 13 points to keep the Constructors' title alive. And we'll keep a close eye on that. Gloves are off now. Hamilton's got the World Championship, of course. Vettel can race for himself, as can Bottas and Raikkonen too, in 2 cars that have had to play a supporting role. And Hamilton out front, of course, on pole position. The Ferraris will start on the soft tyre, the yellow mark soft tyre. A great little game they played in qualifying yesterday. And so they should go further than these red mark super soft tyres. 40% chance of rain, a short little lap, just 2.7 miles, 4.3 kilometres, 10 corners in the dry, 15 corners in the rain. Not quite as silly as it sounds.
There's possible for a very light rain at the moment, but very light.
So we've got 42 degrees track temperature. As we saw in qualifying, a little light rain will soon burn off, but all of those long curves you see coming up to the top of the hill where the pit straight is, turn 5 for example, they don't really exist when you've got dry track and the slick tyres are up to temperature. As soon as it rains, they certainly become corners.
So why have we got Mercedes and Ferrari starting on different tyres? Well, to put it as simply as I possibly can for you, the Mercedes way of thinking was that the track temperature would be a little bit cooler, and Vettel's getting away very, very slowly indeed on the formation lap there. Whether he was caught napping or not, I don't know, Martin, but he's got to make up a couple of places, and he has done.
And which you're allowed to do. You're only not allowed to make up places if you fall to the absolute back of the field.
Yeah.
And of course he didn't.
So Mercedes thought at about 3:15 for a race start, the track temperature would be a lot cooler, and that would help them with the super soft tyre. Ferrari thought the track temperature would be a little bit warmer, and that might help the soft compound tyre. That's why we've got the big difference, and we couldn't select gear, first gear.
He had to pull it into gear again, didn't he? It was odd. It was almost like he got a bit of anti-stall, where the systems ensure the engine can't stall. In theory, it doesn't always work, but they're pretty good these days. And Vettel then with a bit of a misstart going on there. But don't forget also, Crofty, that they went into Q2 and it was starting to lightly drizzle, wasn't it? And it seemed that the safest way to attack that on dry tyres was the grippiest dry tyres you had in your armoury. And that's where Ferrari got quite smart and got a little bit lucky with the rain, and extremely lucky with Vettel barging his way into the weighbridge.
And certainly with these track temperatures, it's not going to help Mercedes preserve the integrity and the grip of their rear tyres. 42 degrees at the moment. It's very warm, it's very muggy, and we have had races here dominated by rain in the past. Let's see if that happens again this weekend. Confirmation, the Mercedes will take the Constructors' Championship title if they outscore Ferrari by 13 points. It became the 5th constructor to reach 100 pole positions yesterday. Since Lewis Hamilton joined the team in 2013, Mercedes have taken 91 poles in 118 races. Hamilton, in the 98 races of the turbo hybrid era, has won 49 of them. And a 50% record in this turbo hybrid era. Absolutely incredible. One day we might even see Max Verstappen do that. You never know.
Some unusual tyre choices, I think. Top 10 are linked, of course, to their Q2 tyres. So that's 8 of them on super softs, the 2 Ferraris on the soft. Ricciardo and Perez in 11th and 12th, they've gone for super soft. Ricciardo was nailed on those, of course. He's taking a penalty. And then Hülkenberg and co on the soft, except Brendan Hartley, who's starting on the slowest of the tyres, the white marked medium. So a lot of different ways to skin this particular cap by the looks of it.
Different strategy gives us different speeds throughout the course of the race, aids more overtaking as well as Rubens Barrichello. And where does his loyalties lie today? Former Ferrari driver, former Brawn driver. Brawn became Mercedes, of course, and he's in that Mercedes garage at the moment. As we look at the view Lewis Hamilton has from pole position and those 335 metres to turn 1.
So Lewis just clearing the path there of the car getting into first gear, then popped it back into neutral while they wait at the front for the rear of the grid to form up, and they're still forming up. But you just want to make sure that dogs are aligned, dog rings are aligned, and the car will go into first gear nicely.
And as you can see, one of the few grids we come to with an uphill start for most of the pack. It's the Brazilian Grand Prix in 2018. It's lights out and away we go. Hamilton and Vettel get away well. Bottas very fast ahead of Kimi Räikkönen. Vettel on the inside ahead of Valtteri Bottas, but for the time being Bottas skips around the outside, got a better line into turn 2, and Valtteri Bottas ahead then of Sebastian Vettel. Verstappen is ahead of Kimi Räikkönen.
Both Ferraris struggling to get away on those harder tyres. It's hurt them a little bit, but already Räikkönen on the offensive.
Marcus Ericsson's going back with Charles Leclerc under pressure as well as into the Tessino de Lago we go, and Kevin Magnussen going wide in the Haas. It's Lewis Hamilton that leads from Bottas and Vettel right over his rear wing, then Räikkönen and Verstappen.
He might be the oldest man on the grid at 39, Kimi Räikkönen. Very, very brave and firm around the outside of Verstappen into turn 4.
Yeah, Verstappen had the earlier better of it in that exchange. Kimi's got him back again. Ricciardo is ahead of Kevin Magnussen, who we saw going wider into the tricky infield section. Very twisty, very windy indeed. And Verstappen on the charge once again, trying to get past Kimi Räikkönen as Romain Grosjean, a little bit unstable under braking there in 7th place, almost went off the track.
No drag reduction system, no opening your rear wing for the first 2 laps, of course.
And looking further down the field, Brendan Hartley, not a bad start, in 15th at the moment on those medium compound tyres, struggling to get some temperature into them as Fernando Alonso is going wheel to wheel with Hartley down the main straight. We're on board with Daniel Ricciardo. I think that's Pierre Gasly just ahead of him, and Daniel Ricciardo pops himself up into another place. He's up now into 9th place.
Ericsson's had a bad start. He started 6th. Annette 6th, he's down to 9th, Leclerc up to 6th, and Ricciardo starting to make his way through after his 5th-place grid drop.
Ericsson under pressure from Kevin Magnussen, who goes wide once again at the very same corner that he went wide at on the first lap. Behind them, Sergio Perez under pressure from Carlos Sainz, who's made places once again on the opening lap. 17 places in the last 7 races without losing any, and Sainz making a good start here, but now Nico Hülkenberg, his teammate, has got him back. So Sainz in 14th, Hülkenberg in 13th, and the 2 Renaults running side by side there, Martin, and Hülkenberg just managing to squeeze round the outside, is he? Oh, he's giving it a really good battle, just ahead of Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, Sainz couldn't lift off the brake pedal he had because of the force in the way, and still they're side by side, and that's getting personal, isn't it?
Yeah, Carlos Sainz in his penultimate race for Renault before he goes to McLaren was veering over to the left-hand side and definitely touched with Nico Hülkenberg there. Hülkenberg 13th, Sainz 14th. Down the outside goes Max Verstappen on Kimi Raikkonen into turn 1. He's got another Ferrari ahead of him. It's Sebastian Vettel.
Well, he must have had a tremendous exit from the bottom of the hill. Jung Sao turn 12. I did not expect to see a Red Bull blowing past a Ferrari.
Might have got a decent slipstream there, but you're absolutely right, Martin. Their speed difference compared to the Ferraris all weekend should not suggest that they're able to get past there. But he did, and Verstappen now up into 4th place once again. Hamilton leads by 8/10 from his teammate Valtteri Bottas. It's Mercedes running 1 and 2. And DRS is now enabled, which will give the chasing pack that drag reduction system and a better speed to do some overtaking.
I tell you what, Crofty, that's very significant. Look at the pace of Verstappen, and he passed a Ferrari down the straight into turn 1. He was having a look at the second Ferrari in there. That car has got good race pace.
14 previous starts from 5th on the grid. Max Verstappen, 1 podium, came in Spain earlier this year. He's up to 4th place now, and he's eyeing a podium spot now. Is Max Verstappen as on this blast from Junsao up towards the center S as we go. Speeds of over 200 miles an hour, and he's getting a decent slipstream behind Vettel, who's got DRS as well. He's going down the inside. It's Max Verstappen almost off the track and manages to squeeze past Sebastian Vettel, and he's up into 3rd place.
This is hugely significant for this Grand Prix. Verstappen's quick through the corners and quick enough, especially with DRS, down the straight.
Meanwhile, his teammate Daniel Ricciardo is going very fast as well. He's up into 7th place after taking that 5-place grid penalty and starting 11th. And this is how Verstappen managed to get past Vettel. Had to take an awful lot of curve there. Didn't look like there was room, but Max found a way.
I tell you what, Verstappen's got them all psychologically parked up just nicely. He knew that Vettel wouldn't turn in on him.
And Vettel is struggling a bit here because Kimi Raikkonen's got past him as well. The Ferraris have swapped places. Kimi Raikkonen getting past Sebastian Vettel on the run down the Retta Aposta into the Skin of the Lago. It was a lock-up from Vettel that cost him pace, and Kimi said, no, I'm not going to wait for you all day. I'm coming past.
So they went down there because they then got the DRS service behind Verstappen, which is measured in turn 2. And so they arrived quite a bit faster than at any other point in the Grand Prix, I'd imagine, so far. They just got too hot into turn 4. Obviously, 105 kilograms of fuel on board at the start of the Grand Prix, or thereabouts, and a car did not want to slow down.
Ricciardo, this time on Charles Leclerc. Red Bull getting past the Ferrari-powered Sauber, and Daniel Ricciardo up in the 6th place. There are 2 cars very much on the move at the moment, and it's both Red Bulls. Christian Horner saying we forgot about qualifying, didn't concentrate on that. We have set ourselves up for a race, and what a race they're having so far.
Well, Vettel, we saw him struggling to get away from the dummy grid, and he certainly didn't get away at all well. Then got a bit hot and locked his front left, and could so easily, for the 2nd time this season, have gone into the side of Valtteri Bottas. Avoided that, but at all times now, Vettel's been struggling in this Grand Prix so far. It's really not working out for him.
And Verstappen had a wobble going through the centre S's, which is what gave Raikkonen the pace behind him with a much better exit to get past down the Retta Aposta.
Perfect start from Bottas, no wheel spin, no drama. A start like Grandma pulling away from the supermarket, just very easy, and build up speed before you floor it, as sometimes they do.
I hope he didn't spill the shopping. This was Marcus Ericsson, who you said had a bad start, Martin. He did, got himself caught in that midfield there and lost a bit of bodywork, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Grosjean did as well, as they came into contact on board with Pierre Gasly going around the outside, which is probably the safer place to be. And he can see all the chaos in front of him and having to take evasive action.
Well, it's been discarding parts, hasn't it, since going to the grid, that car?
Shedding more skin than the average boa constrictor at the moment. And this is Daniel Ricciardo. and making moves throughout the field up into 6th place now after starting 11th. So there was chaos in the middle part of the pack, as you often see here. This is Ricciardo getting past Pierre Gasly a little bit after that. Made it look so easy. So we can settle down a bit now. Hamilton 1.6 seconds ahead of Valtteri Bottas. And Bottas is but a few metres ahead of Max Verstappen. And you'd rather get the feeling Verstappen is in the mood for a good old scrap with Lewis Hamilton today. This is Mexico revisited, maybe.
It could be, couldn't it? And he's really got some pace. And we know that as of Friday night, we spoke to Christian about it in the pre-show, Red Bull realised they weren't going to get pole position here. They just started on race setup all through Saturday. Max Verstappen even tweeted about it, going, hey guys, we're just going to do race setup today. Kind of giving the game away, but what can you do?
Verstappen's got DRS. Is it enough to get past the Ferrari in a turn one? Not quite.
I tell you what, though, that'll compromise Bottas through there. I wonder if we're going to start looking at it. That's well off the racing line. Virtual safety car. Ferrari and Raikkonen looking particularly flighty through turn 3.
He's got DRS again, but the Mercedes has the pace to stay ahead of the Red Bull. Just a few metres in it, but it's enough to be comfortable for the time being for Bottas.
I wonder if Bottas he had to defend into turn 1. And I wonder if it might compromise him, but he had enough power to deal with the pesky Red Bull.
And we're on board with that pesky Red Bull right now. Lap 7 of 71. Max Verstappen third, Valtteri Bottas second ahead of him. Hamilton out in the lead. Let's go to Sky Race Control. Paul di Resta.
Yeah, I'm just watching, Crofty. The soft tyre on the Ferraris is looking very edgy. They just don't have the grip. They can't load the car up the same way the Verstappen or the Mercedes are able to do, and I think that's what's compromised them at the moment. I'm interested to see where the next 10 laps going to go. Is that degradation going to come in? But of course, Vettel, who's been a faster Ferrari, has lost out to Raikkonen, and I get a feeling that's going to hamper their progress at some point. But I'm just watching Verstappen. He's picked up a slipstream from Bottas.
He's going for it again, and he's got the DRS again. And as we approach the top speed, he's getting closer on that Mercedes in front of him. Isn't enough for a dive down the inside under braking. He thought about it, you know,
to slow that down.
And well Bottas covered him well, Martin. But lovely through the centre S's. He's still on his tail.
Tyres for 7. He's on the same as you, super.
Yeah, super tyres, super driving. Is he going to go for it again? This time he's a bit too further back.
That's what all the great drivers do. They've got enough capacity left to drive other people's cars for them. But everybody, of course, other than the Ferraris in the top 10, were on the super softs. But I think Lewis has identified in his mirrors there's a potential risk there. I think the Ferrari tyres are just starting to come to them. They're now on race leaders' pace. They're still only 3.5 and 4.1 seconds off the lead are the two Ferraris, and I think their tyres are just starting to dial in.
So we saw there the Sauber of Marcus Ericsson shedding yet more parts. I wonder if there's going to be any bodywork left by the end of this race. We saw Kevin Magnussen running off the road. He did it twice in the opening couple of laps. He's down in 11th place at the moment, just behind Marcus Ericsson. Carlos Sainz is back ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, 13th and 14th, the two Renaults. Alonso up to 15th. Harley is 16th at the moment. Still Stoffel Van Dorn bringing up the rear in 20th place. And the Ferraris starting to catch, Martin, the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. In many ways, Valtteri Bottas kind of holding up Verstappen a bit and allowing Raikkonen and Vettel to get further onto his tail.
Yeah, as I said, the Ferrari tyres are switching on. They're a harder compound. They're a different type of compound. And they were struggling, weren't we? Every time we cut to them, one of them was struggling to stay on the racetrack. But they now appear to have found the right temperature to start biting into the tarmac.
Marcus Ericsson has got a problem. He's down into 13th, has just lost 3 places. Down to you, Ted.
Yeah, I mean, Ferrari were always going to be playing the long game with this tyre strategy, weren't they, in this race? But just looking across the pit lane to the pit wall and looking at the timings, Vettel's starting to sort himself out and is closing quite quickly on Raikkonen. That's going to be an interesting fight coming up. And Ricciardo closing in on them as well, but Ricciardo with nowhere near more or less the pace of his teammate Verstappen.
There's enough of Ericsson's car spread around the track. He could be in 3 different positions in this Grand Prix at the moment. But look, the Red Bull got a really good run again. Yeah. Now he'll be in DRS. He's ever closer down into that turn 1 braking zone.
Bottas locked up in the midfield. That's allowed Verstappen to get closer. Which way is he going to go? Left or right? Left or right? Down the left he goes. Bottas gives him room. Max Verstappen says thank you very much indeed. Second place is mine. And yes, he likes it. The rest of the grandstand like it. And I quite liked it as well.
Well, he left him the width of a Red Bull plus a little bit, and Max Verstappen does not need inviting twice through an open door.
Max Verstappen up then into second place, and this is how he did it. Bottas knew he was coming. Is that another example, Martin, of drivers knowing that when Max is coming, you're going to have to defend hard, and sometimes you might not want to?
Yeah, I think Valtteri kind of knew wherever he placed the car, he was struggling there, and here come the Ferraris as well. The prancing horses are definitely getting into a gallop, but Verstappen will now set about Lewis Hamilton, and, well, as we said from the beginning, that pace Verstappen showed and the way he could pass the seemingly faster cars in a straight line is going to play beautifully into his hands.
The youngest man to win the same Grand Prix twice is Max Verstappen, and in consecutive years as well. The top point scorer in the last 3 races is chasing now after the 5-time world champion, and Valtteri Bottas might have to be defending again, this time from Kimi Räikkönen. Verstappen's gap 1.8 seconds to Lewis Hamilton, was a tenth quicker on that previous lap, and look how Räikkönen now is poised to take advantage with a good exit through the curve of the Sol of Valtteri Bottas, and the Ferrari we know has pace and power, and it's got DRS as well. And there he goes, Kimi Räikkönen to the right-hand side, trying to go round the outside. And Destino Del Lago, can he make it? Not quite. Valtteri Bottas positioned the car very nicely that time around, and Kimi couldn't quite squeeze through.
Very fair, world-class driving from both of them.
But I tell you what, Räikkönen's not giving it up, even on parts of the track here where you don't normally make a move, Martin. It's almost like the Mercedes is holding Räikkönen up here.
Yeah, there's not really too many places to overtake through the middle part of this lap, and as I expected, you've now got Vettel right on the tail of Räikkönen, and it's playing beautifully into Ricciardo's hands, and he himself in 6th place is only 5 seconds off the lead.
So the top 5 cars, top 6 cars, as you say, separated then by 5 seconds. There's a gap to about 3.5 seconds to Charles Leclerc, who's running in 7th place at the moment, comfortably ahead of Romain Grosjean. Gasly and Magnussen complete the top 10. Ericsson still going in this race, down to 14th as Räikkönen has another look on Valtteri Bottas. Nothing doing this time around.
While this lot squabble, it'll turn into a 2-horse race out front. Obviously, we might have rain to come. We might have lots of chaos, as we've seen over the decades.
Bottas is struggling a little bit. Max has passed him. Räikkönen's on him now. The Mercedes are not particularly quick at this stage.
Well, that Mercedes, very true, isn't particularly quick. It's a second slower than Lewis Hamilton on the last lap. 1:14.4 for Hamilton and a 1:15.4 for Bottas.
And they're only on lap 12 of 71, as you can see, top left corner. So that's very early for Bottas to be struggling this hard, and it seems inevitable that the Ferraris will have a chance somewhere, especially with DRS open, to have a go at that Mercedes that's so slow into turn 10 there.
Yes, under braking and then accelerating out of the corners as well, where of course it is doing well enough, is at top speed. So from here on in, these 4 drivers will plant their right foots to the floor, and the blast uphill towards the centre S's we can see from the perspective of Daniel Ricciardo's front wing.
Verstappen, personal best in the race, takes 3/10 out of Hamilton's lead. He's on his way.
He's catching Lewis Hamilton, and did it, as you say, by 3/10 there, about 1.3 seconds behind him as it stands at the moment. Then there's this train of cars, and for Räikkönen and Vettel, Ricciardo, they quite like Bottas out of the way, but there's a better lap from Bottas there. He's got a bit more breathing space going into the Destino Del Lago, the late descent. And this is what happened on lap 9. Kevin Magnussen trying to go around the outside of Marcus Ericsson and squeezes through. Does he make contact? If he didn't, it certainly was enough to push Ericsson a little further off the track than he would have wanted to have been going.
Yeah, the aero performance of Ericsson's car will be nasty, but that's fair enough. He had the racing line there, did Kevin Magnussen.
Fighting for a point, just the solitary point. Kevin Magnussen's got it at the moment, and there you can see the Force India of Sergio Perez and the Renault of Carlos Sainz skipping through as well.
He's got no grip. Ericsson's got no grip. I can only see them having to retire that unless, well, there's nothing they can do about it.
Such a shame for Ericsson, but parts of the diffuser falling off on the outlap to the grid. And what should have been a day of celebration for him, starting 6th on the grid, his highest ever grid spot in his 96th race, is he's turning into a whole world of pain out there for him.
If Bottas continues to struggle, I could see Leclerc actually joining that squabble as well. There he is in the background.
absolutely right. Daniel Ricciardo's getting a bit of a shift on in the first sector, starting to catch up a little closer to Sebastian Vettel now as well. As Esteban Ocon puts his Force India past the McLaren of Fernando Alonso and moves up into 15th place. So lap 14 as it stands in the Constructors' Championship at the moment. Mercedes aren't picking up the maximum 43 points. But with 25 points for Lewis Hamilton and 15 points for Valtteri Bottas, that's 40 points that will earn them a 5th consecutive Constructors' Championship. All looking good for the boys and girls at Brackley and at Brixworth, but no points starting to celebrate yet. We've got a very long way to go this afternoon.
We certainly have. So where else? We've got some racing going on down. Well, we've got a bit of a breather at the front. Gasly going well in 10th, not too far behind Magnussen. Perez close enough to him as well. Ocon 0.1 of a second behind Alonso, side by side over the line then, and he's now made that move.
It seems like he's sliding a bit more than me.
Okay, understood. So just creep up on it.
Does Max Verstappen creep up on anybody? Has he lost that element of surprise over the years?
I think he's put an element. He says he's changed nothing, but he gets angry with us, but he was running into too many things. He's added patience to his raft of skills, and it's paying off a lot.
So this is Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso, as you mentioned, Martin. Ocon managing to get past and doing to Alonso what Kevin Magnussen did to Marcus Ericsson a lap before that. Back to Sky Race Control, Paul.
Yeah, front left tyre of Hamilton is starting to blister, Crofty, right on the inner shoulder, and the rear right on Bottas, as I can see on the camera, pointing back to Raikkonen, it's going as well, so Mercedes looking vulnerable.
So once again, Mercedes then punishing their tyres more. We've still got over 40 degrees track temperatures, not cooling down, despite it being gone 3:30 here this afternoon.
Bottas is really struggling here, Martin. You can see Raikkonen closer now than he has been in the last 4 or 5 laps. You can see the Mercedes squirming around a little bit as well, struggling for traction. Has he got the pace down the Retta Aposta?
Okay, last lap for Hamilton and Verstappen, both 14.0s. Bottas is holding everyone up with a 14.5.
Understood. Yeah, there's a lot more pace in it.
Yeah, understood.
Kimi's closing. This might be his best opportunity to catch Bottas by surprise. Through Ferradura we go. Bottas and Raikkonen separated by about half a metre there.
Well, the two Finns having a good squabble. You'd be pretty brave going around the outside of turn 6, because turn 7 follows very quickly. Yeah. But it's just a matter of time. And from Raikkonen's car, we saw the blistering on Bottas's right rear wheel very clearly there.
I don't know if it was bravery or the fact that Kimi was arriving at an overtake that he could do nothing about. And is that Fernando Alonso into the pits? It is.
So that suggests he's got a clutch issue. They had to jack it, they had to drop it off the jack to help him get away. Like his clutch is not operating properly.
Yeah, we'll bring Ted Kravitz in as well. We can see.
Just stalled it. I think he just stalled it.
No, he's not. He's revving like crazy.
Or was the right rear not attached? Right rear wasn't attached.
No, he was revving it away.
He was revving it, and they had to sort of bounce it off the jack to get it going. It looked like the clutch was juddering away to me.
But that was a strategic move to try and clear some traffic ahead of him, Ericsson particularly, and it's backfired for McLaren, so Alonso will be furious at that. But it's just we're just opening the pit window for Mercedes. Lap 19, lap 20, something like that, that'll do for the first stop, but they just need a few more laps out of it. Lap 25, that'll be even better. But I can see some action already. Williams coming in now as well.
They want to put Bottas into a decent gap, and they might just be able to feed him back into the race ahead of Pierre Gasly if he needs to stop soon. And there's those troublesome markings on the rear tyres, Martin, that's causing all the sliding.
Yeah, you feel vibration from that. It's quite hard to see in your mirrors. It's easy to obviously look at your own front tyres. But he's basically costing himself and the pack behind him a second a lap.
So Ferrari making a pit stop for Vettel or for Raikkonen, I wonder. Lewis Hamilton leads. Mercedes have gone past 5,000 laps led in Formula One. And Ferrari might be coming out, but their drivers are staying out.
Well, Raikkonen's in front, so he should get priority on the pit stop under the way they set up most of these teams. So it'll be interesting to see if he does. Championships are over now, of course.
Well, the Drivers' Championship certainly, and the Constructors' Championship very much over the way this race is going. Mercedes, the 5th constructor in Formula One to lead more than 5,000 laps, which shows you their dominance in recent years, given that they're 19th, Martin, on the list of Grand Prix contested by constructors.
Incredible. But of course there is a good scrap going on between Verstappen and Raikkonen for 3rd in the World Championship, isn't there, in the closing stages of the season.
Going into this race, Raikkonen on 236 points, Bottas 227, Verstappen 216 as well. But it's the fights to go and pick up your rental tux and go to the FIA Gala, because one of those trio are going to have to.
Knowing Kimi, he'd rather not finish 3rd, he'd rather finish 4th so he didn't have to go.
Yeah, so I could have a night off. Now Mercedes are coming out into the pit lane as Verstappen sets the fastest lap of the race, and Valtteri Bottas coming into the pits for Mercedes. Stroll has been Williams as well, and Bottas stops on his marks now. It's the medium compound tyre that Mercedes think can get him to the end of the race, and trundling along at 60 kilometres an hour, Valtteri Bottas exits his pit box, and he'll come out behind Kevin Magnussen and ahead of Sergio Perez, who's got past Pierre Gasly.
Verstappen responds with some clear air to do the fastest lap of the race. It's hammer time. I don't know, what is it with Verstappen? Is it clog time? What is it? But he's
mistakes. Turn 8 and 10. Okay, let's just do what you can do.
It's he's certainly flying along, young Max.
It's hammer time, and turn it up to the max. And is there any stopping Verstappen? Because at the moment he's going to be putting a very big challenge down to this man in a few laps' time. That front left tyre. Is that pick up he's got there? Or?
No, listen, but you kind of drag the front left around this circuit as he comes into pit lane. You drag the front left. It's not that loaded, being an anti-clockwise circuit. And all the important fast corner, almost all left-handers, so it's the right one that matters more.
So here's really interesting, is Verstappen starting to set fastest laps. Mercedes have brought Lewis Hamilton in. Really good pit stop, 2.6 seconds. He'll come out, I would imagine, just ahead of Charles Leclerc. Well, that's certainly what Mercedes are hoping. There goes Grosjean. That's not happened. Actually, Leclerc's gone through. Grosjean's gone through as well. So he'll come out behind then the Haas of Romain Grosjean into 7th place. So as Verstappen looking good on his tyres, and now with lots of clean air to bang in some fast laps, Mercedes have struck first with a pit stop. Ted.
Yeah, but Hamilton said that he thought he had a lap or two left in these tyres. He said, can I stay out? The tyres are okay, can I stay out for another one? His engineer, Pete Bonington, said, no, in you go, box. But that's going to take a while for these tyres to warm up. So advantage Verstappen on this one, Crofty, surely.
Well, let's see, because Verstappen, Martin, the one thing that will slow him down is that he's gaining on some back markers here. Fernando Alonso, who we know is already pitted.
Yeah, I think Verstappen's got another couple of laps before he starts losing time in traffic. What he wants to try and do is clear the Grosjean and possibly Leclerc if he can, which Hamilton hasn't been able to do.
Mode 7, please, Max. Mode 7. Don't overdrive it. Keep it clean.
And was that a case of overdriving just a little bit, Martin, through Ferradura, going onto those rumble strips? You don't want to be out there too often.
Yeah, the strips settled the car. Hardly the biggest drama he's ever had in his racing career. I'm assuming mode 7 means full beans. Turn it up to 11. Now's your chance.
It's another fastest lap from him, though, 1:13.4. So he was about a second and a half behind Lewis Hamilton when Hamilton came into the pits. And who's that going off? Marcus Ericsson. Oh, what a disastrous afternoon it has been for the Swede so far. He's now been lapped by the race leader, Max Verstappen, after starting 6th on the grid. We just saw him there going off at Ferradura. I wouldn't imagine he's got enough grip to stay on.
I need the box. Okay, copy.
Yeah, as we expected, the only way with that car is to retire it. It's lost so many critical aero parts and must feel a bit like a skateboard on ice, I'd imagine, the way it's handling out there for him.
He's flat-spotted his tyres as well. He's limping up the hill, Marcus Ericsson. Real shame for him. And his penultimate Grand Prix is off to IndyCar for next season. Fernando Alonso will be racing against him in the Indy 500 next season. You might have seen that announcement last night. And McLaren and Fernando are going to go and have a crack at the 500 once again. Can't wait to see that. As Hamilton now sets a new fastest lap of the race, and significantly, Martin, 7/10 quicker than Verstappen's last lap.
Yeah, that's a very powerful lap from Lewis Hamilton. That puts Red Bull under pressure for their strategy now.
I kind of think that if If they come in now, they can limit the damage just a little bit. And Verstappen is starting to gain even more on Fernando Alonso as Marcus Ericsson retires from this race, and we can see the spin once again. He was already spinning before he even got to the corner. Lance Stroll driving through a cloud of tyre smoke. Dear, oh dear.
So Verstappen then is catching Alonso and Stroll. Will Red Bull choose this moment?
I cannot drive this. Got big.
Yeah, it's been a struggle right from lights on to allow Ericsson to come out of the garage and to get to the grid. Bits falling off the car for him. Let's go to Sky Race Control. Paul de Resta.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this, Crofty. Mercedes have put themselves what looks to be on a one-stop, putting that medium tyre on. Of course, what Verstappen, I think, with the radio message that his engineer Gianpiero Lambassi gave him is don't push it too hard, don't overdo it, because we're probably going to fit the soft tyre at this pit stop and probably put a challenge on the Mercedes who's on the opposite compound. And if they can make an impact now, that's the time.
Well, that's it. It's a very good point. Can Red Bull kinder on their tyres, preserving their tyres, what Christian Horner said, we've worked on preserving our tyres in that middle sector, make the soft and the super soft work, which theoretically, Martin, if you can, should give you a faster race time.
Theoretically, Hamilton tucked up behind a bit of traffic, so I think at the moment it's about Verstappen going quickly, but also extending, even if he can't get in front of Hamilton in this phase of the Grand Prix, extending his tyre situation so that he's in a stronger position come the end of the race. But Verstappen still stuck behind Alonso. That is, of course, he'll get blue flags. Hamilton's coming up behind traffic, and like Leclerc, and it's for position. Leclerc does not have to get out of the way.
So Verstappen on Fernando Alonso into turn one. Guess what? He's got past him, leading the race, and the first time Red Bull have led a race here at Interlagos in this turbo hybrid era. They've never had a top three start here. That record continues on, but they lead here for the first time in this turbo hybrid era. There's Lewis Hamilton on Charles Leclerc. Not quite as easy as Verstappen on Alonso. No blue flags involved in this one. Hamilton does get past Leclerc, and he's into the top five once again.
And he also did a 1:13.3 on that lap with a bit of slipstream and DRS up the hill, so he's still maintaining great pace, Lewis, so he'll be the net leader of the Grand Prix. How much further can Red Bull go to give themselves a chance towards the end?
So at the moment there's a gap of about 17 seconds between Verstappen and Hamilton. Verstappen comes into the pits, then that would then be round about a 4.5 second advantage for Hamilton over Verstappen. So in theory, Martin, that looks like Red Bull have allowed Hamilton to get a better lead, but you're saying at the latter stages of the race that should even itself out a little bit.
Yes, because Hamilton pitted on 19, we're currently on lap 24. I think if there's one more lap and Verstappen will have cleared Grosjean and still be in front of Bottas, so they're coming to the window where Red Bull might choose to drop in into the pits. In terms of after, we think 21, 22 seconds, depending on just how good the crew are and how much the driver attacks the speed line.
So one driver out of the race, Marcus Ericsson, leaving 19 still remaining. Verstappen leads Raikkonen, leads Vettel, leads Ricciardo. 12.2 seconds between the top four who haven't pitted yet. Hamilton has, Leclerc, Grosjean, Bottas, Magnussen and Perez completing in the top 10.
Just looked pretty black out the back, didn't it, as well? The sky was starting to look a little bit angry. It is raining in the distance there, Crofty. Which way are the flags fluttering out there?
We lost ground, missed up, or?
No, we're gaining ground, so Verstappen 3.3 inside our pit window.
This tyre doesn't feel good.
Okay, copy, just managed 2 temps.
Good information for Red Bull on that one, but it's definitely raining in the distance where the rain came from yesterday, and Ted's got more news.
Well, Hamilton might say the tyre doesn't feel good. Crofty, didn't he say something similar on Friday with this tyre? But the lap times are still good. The lap time's really good, actually, surprisingly good. And I asked Mercedes what's going on there. Their response, the first stint was very much a tyre-managed stint. I think that's pretty obvious to all of us. We kind of knew that they weren't that slow, didn't we? But good pace now from Hamilton. As they say, defending Verstappen. They're 3 seconds to the benefit of Verstappen.
Just the back markers are a little bit of a pig.
Copy.
Yeah, but he's slicing his way through the back markers. Now, around about midday today, Martin, four very wise men from Mercedes took a little walk out the back of the paddock and spent a good 10 minutes looking at clouds. They're not turning into amateur meteorologists, they're not after a new job, but it's all about watching the skies at this stage. Here in Interlagos, the rain kind of bubbles up from nowhere. But the locals tell me, as we sit here in our commentary box, and we are right looking out over the pit lane, to our left and away from the first corner, if the dark clouds bubble up there, chances are it's not going to rain very soon. But to our right, and towards the first corner and down towards the Ciudad del Lago at turns 4, if you see some dark clouds down there, that's where the rain's coming in from.
I can see the windsock on the helipad in the distance, and the rain is coming from that direction. If that turns up at the circuit, it's going to get very wet.
And it is a 40% chance of rain in this race, and it's thunderstorms that have been predicted. So the teams are all going to be watching the weather radar. They've all been looking at the clouds beforehand as well. I dare say they've got some spotters out and about in the local areas having a little look. But Otmar Safnauer at Force India on the team pit wall, the team principal. What does your weather radar say? Are we going to get some rain today, Otmar?
Really, really difficult to say. Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
You don't want it to rain then? Would that not be a help?
Well, not now anyway. If it's going to rain, it should rain right before we pit.
Maybe you can get that organised. So what's your story then, would you say? Esteban's sort of coming through again quite nicely now.
Yeah, he didn't have the best of starts. I think he was last after the first lap, but he's up to 12th now. And Checo's pace is pretty good, doing 14.4s. It's not bad.
So if you can steal a point or two, you'll be happy sitting here.
Yeah, no, we want to steal more than three.
Right, well, we'll be back to see how that's going in a little while, because in comes Sebastian Vettel for his pit stop. Our timing screens are saying that the track surface is a bit slippery in Sector 7. So round about the horseshoe at Ferradura. Now, whether that's a result of any cars leaking oil or a bit of rain, I'm not sure. Medium compound tyre goes on to Sebastian Vettel's car. He might well come out in front of Sergio Perez. Let's just see as Perez is making his way along the main straight now. He should come out behind that Haas of Kevin Magnussen. And there's Sergio Perez going through turn 1. So that's the gap that Ferrari wanted to feed him into.
Clear in Sector 7 now, so that was about debris rather than rain in terms of slippery track message.
Right, no priority for Kimi Raikkonen, even though he was the lead Ferrari, or did Kimi Raikkonen say, I want to carry on? Because at the moment we're not sure what the priority would be, come in soon or leave it out a little bit later.
Yes, I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not sure anybody does at this stage, Crofty.
That's fair enough by me. We'll see what happens. As into turn 1, just watching Max Verstappen still lapping the back markers, lapping in the mid 1 minute 13s at the moment. Hamilton's last lap was a 1:14.4. That gap between Verstappen and Hamilton has grown now to about 20 seconds.
Look at Ricciardo at 12.9 and he hasn't pitted yet.
Absolutely
That's
flying.
stunning speed for Daniel Ricciardo. That's come in handy when he was right up with the Ferraris.
This is for position. Valtteri Bottas on Romain Grosjean. He's up into 6th place after making his pit stop. So Ricciardo's flying, and if Verstappen carries on at this rate, he might just abort himself a pit stop here against Lewis Hamilton. So in the early stages, you're thinking, oh, Hamilton's getting back at Verstappen, but as the stint has developed here, Verstappen's confidence and advantage has grown.
Red Bull obviously hoping they might stay out long enough so they only pit for wets if it does indeed rain, but it's still a good way away if it actually ever turns up. We'll see it on the horizon. So late 12s now with this fuel load they've got on as we approach half distance. Late 1 minute 12s seem to be the ultimate pace. Verstappen in the mid 1 minute 13s out front, really stretching his tyres out.
Hamilton saying that this tyre doesn't feel good and losing about another 0.7 of a second through the first 2 sectors of his latest lap. I just get the feeling at the moment in the last 3 or 4 laps that the advantage has very much swung Max Verstappen's way. He's got to pit still, but he's gaining that advantage over Hamilton. Paul di Resta.
Yeah, Crofty, I'd agree with you. I'm sitting watching Max Verstappen's onboard corner by corner. He's not even using the curbs. He's driving to a lap delta. He's not even having to use everything. I think he's just sitting at 13.5. Danny Rick's shown what the speed can be because he needs to make an impact. But I really think Red Bull are under control like they were in Mexico. That car is working perfectly.
Well, you need to give me some info because I've got these guys ahead of me that are pulling away. I've got Max is killing my time. Give me some info of what I've got to do.
So, Lewis, we need to match Verstappen's time. Verstappen was a 13.6 last lap.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. Is Max in my window?
You are 0.7 safe, 0.7 safe.
Yeah, but...
From my feeling, the tyres are getting better.
Good news.
was that the truth? Was that fake news? Was that a bit of bluff or PR? I don't know.
These tyres are getting better. And you should feel this engine. It's amazing today.
And that time, a 1:13.2 for Verstappen on the last lap. How can Hamilton respond for that? We'll see in a few moments when he crosses the line, but they're asking him to better Max Verstappen's times, and he crosses the line with a 1:13.4. That 0.7 advantage that Hamilton had, no, that's gone now. And I do think that Max is not only in the window, but he might just be climbing through it as far as Hamilton's concerned, as Sebastian Vettel on Romain Grosjean moves himself up in the 7th place.
Yes, if Max pitted now, he'd come out, as they said, 0.7 behind, just a little bit behind Hamilton. He keeps punching lap times in like that, a couple more laps, and he will have effectively the race lead, assuming a clean pit stop, of course.
Absolutely. How can Ferrari respond to this as well on the medium tyre with Sebastian Vettel hoping to go to the end of the race? What's his lap times? A 1:13.0 on the last lap for Sebastian Vettel. Meanwhile, two McLarens side by side into turn 1. Stoffel Van Dorn on Fernando Alonso. Gets down the inside, but Fernando Alonso isn't going to take that line down.
Okay, well done, Stoff.
And Fernando just about gets it into T4, doesn't he? He's been on the radio saying, don't talk to me for the rest of the race. No more radio for the rest of the race.
He's done that
Fernando.
Once or twice before. Kimi Raikkonen is coming in to the pits whilst we ride on board with his teammate Sebastian Vettel, and Stoffel Van Dorn goes down the inside of Fernando Alonso again and retakes 18th place in that all-McLaren fight. Van Dorn is actually starting to enjoy himself a little bit this afternoon. So Raikkonen, making his first stop, will come out behind his teammate Sebastian Vettel. There's Vettel coming down the hill now. It's going to be tight, but I think Vettel is just about going to make this, and he does.
Yeah, the earlier pit stop gave him the undercut, and that will please Kimi Raikkonen not one little bit when he sees the gearbox of the sister Ferrari.
It's an interesting one, that. You can understand team orders when you're fighting for a Drivers' World Championship, but that's all gone now. Did Kimi Raikkonen want the strategy he's on, or was Sebastian Vettel given a bit of priority? I don't know. Ted, down to you.
Hamilton's not doing enough, is he? By about 2/10 per lap.
I think you're right.
I'm just looking at Red Bull right now. They're right in front of me, Crofty, in the pit lane. And Big Nige is just readying the wheel guns. But they're going to take their time. They'll wait until Max Verstappen is ready to come in and take the lead of the race. And then when he does come in, even if they do pit the softer tyre, that's an even faster tyre than the tyre Lewis is on. So it'll be double benefit.
Last lap, though, Verstappen only a 1:13.6. He lost a bit of time, and there's that overtake. Stoffel Van Dorn on Fernando Alonso that I mentioned, and he's held on to that 18th place. Good to see him actually having the opportunity for a scrap there, and against his teammate as well, as Kimi now right on the rear wing of Sebastian Vettel, who's pretty much on the rear wing of Valtteri Bottas.
And Vettel then, his tyres were four laps older than Raikkonen's. It's got him in front, it's given him track position, but Kimi, all bets are off here, I reckon. I don't think Kimi will be giving anything against his teammate. And he wasn't let through earlier on. It was because Seb Vettel ran wide in this corner, turn 4.
So, intriguing race developing here as the two Ferraris are set for a little personal scrap. The two McLarens are having a personal scrap, and Max Verstappen is taking on the world, as he often likes to do. And at the moment might just have the sneaky little advantage over Lewis Hamilton, with his teammate Daniel Ricciardo right in the middle of all that as well. Ricciardo and Verstappen haven't pitted yet. Red Bull, who've never led a lap here in the turbo hybrid era, currently running 1 and 2. That's the gap, 20.3 seconds between Verstappen and Hamilton. How's it looking, comparing their sector times for this?
Hamilton faster.
Scenario 12 and need to box and retire.
Big.
After 2 consecutive 6th place finishes, which put Nico Hülkenberg in a very strong position as champion of the rest, he's not going to score any points this weekend.
if scenario 12 is box and retire, I'd hate to hear what the other 11 are.
On board with Valtteri Bottas, you can see the Scarlet Ferraris behind him. Down the Retta Apposta they go, and you can see how those Scarlet Ferraris are gaining, but Bottas managing to stay ahead. Hamilton taking a couple of tenths out of Verstappen's advantage on the last lap. And he's very much doing what he is being asked to do by his team, and that's match and sometimes better at Verstappen's laps. It's swinging back a bit now that if Verstappen pits, he'll come out behind Hamilton, but he'll be on much fresher tyres, of course, and we will get a grandstand finish then if it's Verstappen just behind Hamilton in the closing stages.
Front end of Kimi's Ferrari's working better than his teammates. Really good front end on it. His fresher tyres probably paying dividends at the moment. But a bit of DRS. Can you imagine? Is Raikkonen going to slither up the inside into turn 1 of Vettel at some point? Or can he get close enough?
Why not? Vettel's got DRS as well, of course, behind Bottas, which is rather helping him at the moment. But come on, Kimi, give it a go. We often see, Martin, the Drivers' Championship's decided, gloves are off, drivers can go out there a little more relaxed and have a bit more fun.
Verstappen's got some traffic in the form of Sainz and Gasly. He's just had a very slow lap on a 1:14.4, and he lets him through. Vettel lets him through. It's the quicker Ferrari, the fresher tyres, and he sets off now then after fellow countryman Valtteri Bottas.
Well, that's a sensible choice, Martin. Ferrari still, of course, contesting the Constructors' Championship. They need to start getting ahead of those two Mercedes. And the order, look, there's the nod. Switch them around.
Swap it over. Fair dues.
Arriva Bene making the decision there.
And Seb doing it straight away.
Tap on the shoulder there as well for the race engineer, Riccardo Adami. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, and it's Max Verstappen stops. It's the soft tyre. There was a little hesitation on the front left, but otherwise not too bad. Where's he coming out?
It's a 3-second stop, though. That's 4/10 slower than Lewis Hamilton. Is that Hamilton going through the first corner? Yes, it is. And Verstappen will come out not only behind Lewis Hamilton here, but behind Stoffel Van Dorn as well. Key is, can he get ahead of Fernando Alonso so he doesn't have to lap that back marker? He can.
On the soft tyres.
Yes.
On the soft tyres. Kimi's going for it on his fresh tyres, but that's quite critical then. So a little bit of a steady stop. He was just getting some traffic, and that's why they pulled him in. That's the moment they chose. So Hamilton retains track position, but Verstappen then. Hamilton came in on lap 19. Verstappen on lap 35. And different tyre compounds.
That is going to be a very tall order to try and hold off Max Verstappen, but if anyone's up to it, I'm sure Lewis Hamilton is. It's a slightly slower stop for Verstappen over Hamilton. And you can see those in the expensive seats in the Paddock Club getting a very good vantage point as the Red Bull crew gets to work. Stupid though, isn't it? 3 seconds stationary to change all 4 tyres. That's a slow stop.
Yes, it is for Red Bull. But,
certainly does. Right, Paul di Resta, Sky Race Control.
Yeah, Verstappen's been cleared by the McLarens already. The front end that car's got on those soft tyres. He's going to be on the back of Hamilton soon. The one I can't wait to see join this party is when Ricciardo catches the Raikkonen, Vettel and Bottas battle.
Yeah.
Ricciardo leading, of course, now.
And hasn't pitted.
Because he hasn't pitted, yeah.
Here goes Kimi on Valtteri Bottas. Is he far enough back for Bottas to be safe? He is for the time being, but Kimi is right there. And he's probably got 2 laps here, Martin, to run comfortably behind Bottas at this distance.
Yeah, and there's a bit of history between these two over the years, last couple of years.
They often find themselves in positions where they have tangled. They've come close to tangling and they're scrapping away. And once again, they're doing it right here for the battle for 4th place. And ahead of them, Max Verstappen in 3rd, behind Lewis Hamilton with just 2.5 seconds. Daniel Ricciardo leads the race. He's got a 9.5 second advantage over Hamilton, but hasn't pitted yet.
Verstappen's taken 0.8 of a second out of Hamilton in the middle sector alone on this lap.
Well, we're all building this up for a grandstand finish. It might be a bit anticlimactic and quite easy for Verstappen if he carries on with this pace as the battle of the Finns flashes past our commentary box and into turn one once again, and I think it's out of this corner now, the Curva del Sol. If Raikkonen can get a good exit, that Bottas might be under a little bit of pressure. It just seems that a couple of car lengths too far back, Kimi, to make the attack.
Bottas might get DRS off the McLaren up the top straight, that'll help him, but we're just over half distance then. The rain is still advancing. The buildings I could see are no longer visible due to rain, but it's still nowhere near the edge of the racetrack.
It's not the biggest area of racetrack that we ever see. It does not produce an awful lot of excitement. The rain might come as Fernando Alonso moves out of the way of Valtteri Bottas, but then Kimi Raikkonen now has to slot in behind the McLaren. Alonso will see that scarlet Ferrari in his mirrors, will move over to the left-hand side, and well, Bottas might not get DRS here because, of course, he was ahead of Alonso, but Raikkonen might well get a bit of DRS because I think through the detection zone he was behind Fernando Alonso, and look, he has got DRS. So has Sebastian Vettel. So Raikkonen able to gain on Valtteri Bottas up the straight as Verstappen sets a new fastest lap of the race.
And is now within DRS zone of Hamilton, and they're struggling. They're catching up to two Williams to lap them. So that's going to hamper the pair of them, especially Hamilton.
We're on board with Max Verstappen now. You can see Lewis Hamilton just ahead, and only just ahead. This could be for the net lead of the race, this.
We do have several laps fresher tyres than Hamilton, and you'll see the whites of his tyres as well. That is a medium for him.
I dare say if Hamilton looks in his wing mirrors, he'll see the whites of Verstappen's eyes, not exactly the whites of the tyres.
And when you're the first one of a car going through a pack of traffic, you're always the one moving them out of the way initially, so and waking them up.
Verstappen's almost pushing that Mercedes up the hill here. Such is his pace difference, and such is the speed and the exits, the speed that he got from Junsal. Moves over to the right-hand side of Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen looks in his mirrors. Don't know why he was doing that, because Hamilton was alongside and then was passed. And they do rather like that one. Max Verstappen up into second place. His teammate Daniel Ricciardo into the pits, was leading the race, so Verstappen now up into the lead. Hamilton's going to fight back and try and go around the outside of Casino del Lago. Verstappen's got him covered off.
Hamilton got the next dose of DRS down the back straight, and no doubt saved his battery for attack, but Verstappen had it covered. He'll now run and hide.
So, Red Bull with the advantage and back in the lead. But this time, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton have had their pit stops and we're back on board with Kimi Raikkonen still trying to get past Valtteri Bottas. Those that haven't stopped yet, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, Esteban Ocon at Force India. His teammate Sergio Perez has just pitted, puts Ocon up into the top 10. The two cars haven't made their pit stop yet. And after the round of pit stops all unfolded, Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas, Raikkonen, Vettel, Ricciardo, the top six order. The lead has changed hands.
Still then Raikkonen steering at the gearbox of the Mercedes-Benz, and Vettel struggling to hold on. That's kind of been a bit of the story, hasn't it, of this Grand Prix? Vettel's really not quite had the pace at any point that you would expect him to have. And Verstappen just took 1.8 seconds out of Hamilton, increased his lead to 1.8 seconds on that last lap. Run and hide, indeed he has.
Hamilton really struggling on that medium compound tyre. You just wonder, Martin, is that the tyre he wants to be on for the rest of this race? Or do they need to reappraise their strategy a bit?
And Hamilton's only just got past Sirotkin now.
There he goes.
Get in there, my son. Get in there.
And this is how he hit the back of the nets in footballing parlance.
Max had DRS, of course, but he also had much better tyres for traction out of turn 12 at the bottom of the hill. He would have entered the straight so much faster.
Pierre Gasly a little bit further back, having a good old scrap with Carlos Sainz at the moment. Sainz thought about a move into turn one, couldn't quite make it stick. Esteban Ocon has just pitted for Force India. That will put him back down to 14th and out of the points once again. Here comes Kimi Raikkonen on Valtteri Bottas. There they go into turn one with Bottas still ahead, and here's Daniel Ricciardo right on the rear wing of Sebastian Vettel.
New fastest lap, smashed it at 1:11.6. I think that tells you just how fast Verstappen could go if he needed to. Out front, Ricciardo can finish third in this race yet.
Race lap record, by the way, 1:11.0. Max Verstappen last year. Dare say that might be beaten sometime today. Ted, down to you.
A couple of things. It was a slow stop, unfortunately, for Esteban Ocon and his fight for the midfield. A problem getting the right rear off. It was slow coming off, so he lost a few seconds there. But surely, Crofty, Mercedes, I mean, do they care? It's all about the constructors, isn't it? And when Ferrari are having a bad day compared to them, that'll do, won't it, today? Well, I know they want to win and everything.
Applying complete logic to the situation there, Ted Kravitz, but I'll pose the question, Martin, to you this way. Lewis Hamilton, does he care about winning the race or not?
Yeah, he cares, of course he does. He's just... he hurts when he doesn't win, and he wants to leave this sport with all the high tide marks, doesn't he? Poles and wins and championships. He says he doesn't. Oh, somebody's very wide in there.
Yeah, that could have been Stroll, to be honest, as down the inside Sebastian Vettel just manages to fend off Daniel Ricciardo, and that got quite aggressive, and Ricciardo's going to come back for round two on this one, I think. Down towards Decido de Largo we go, and he's well within an ability to make a late dart under braking, tries to go around the outside again, and Sebastian Vettel's got him covered off.
Yeah, Daniel getting a little bit cheeky around the outside, Seb getting his elbows out, and all fine as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, all fair in love and racing as far as that particular incident was concerned. The two former teammates, whether enjoying the fight or not, I'm not quite sure. Ricciardo for one moment thought he might have got it. That could have been the end of the race for both of them. They managed to not come into major contact with each other. And there is Bottas and Raikkonen pushing past the back marker. Lance Stroll in the Williams. So this time, Kimi looks a little bit closer to me, Martin. It looks like Kimi Raikkonen might have the opportunity down the straight, kicking up a bit of dust as they go off the racing line. And that is Max Verstappen, the race leader. And he has spun, coming down the hill. And there's a Force India there as well. Is that Sergio Perez? Did they make contact going through the center S's? Verstappen has lost the lead to Hamilton by spinning out. And the Force India stricken by the side of the road. There you can see the distance now between Hamilton and Verstappen as the Force India gets going again.
But it was pretty square across his rear axle when he touched him. He hit him across the rear axle. He should not have bodywork damage, and it seems that Paul take it away.
You can see it looks like he's got in there. He thought it was all past him and the Force India has hit him. Unfortunately, I can't see it, and then just watching it on board here, not really sure what the Force India was trying to do at that point on a back marker.
That was Esteban Ocon. Apologies to Sergio Perez. It was Ocon down there. Here's the onboard with Max Verstappen. Down the inside he goes.
What an idiot! What an idiot!
He was coming back at him to unlap himself, wasn't he? It was Esteban Ocon, but it's the leader. And he's still fighting with him, but I must say it was the front face of his right rear that took him pounding. They are designed to absorb a lot of that, but it can damage the suspension or the drive shaft.
So look, Ocon's on super soft tyres, fresher super soft tyres. If he's got the pace, then he is allowed, within the regulations, to unlap himself. That's not a problem, but should he have taken more care? Was he the one at fault there?
He's down in 16th of 18 runners. He's not entitled to drive into the side of the race leader.
He is entitled, though, to unlap himself. But
Yes,
I take your point entirely. Otmar Safnauer, Force India team principal. Otmar, how do you view that? Are you a little disappointed with what's happened and the way your driver managed to get himself into an accident?
Not really disappointed with our driver at all. I don't think Max left him any room, and he knew he was there.
Did Max have to leave him the room, though, given that he was a lap ahead? How do you see that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure he's got to leave for him. Otherwise they run into each other.
which is exactly what they did. Any damage to Esteban Ocon's car that you're concerned about?
Yeah, I don't know yet.
All right, but a fair bit, I would imagine. Otmar, thank you for giving us that instant reaction. Look, here goes Daniel Ricciardo on Sebastian Vettel, and they do touch. Going through turn one, Sebastian Vettel concedes the place, now starts to fight back once again. Through the curve of the Sol they go. Only a car's length between them. Daniel Ricciardo ahead of Sebastian Vettel, who should now get DRS. Can he take that place back again? He inches ahead. Ricciardo's got the inside line, and Daniel Ricciardo has 5th place ahead of Sebastian Vettel.
Way too much grip in the Red Bull for the Ferrari. Otmar's got to defend his driver, but I think when you're a lap behind, you should not be attacking the leader into the apex of turn 2.
Well, the stewards are looking at it. A big round of applause from Christian Horner for that move. Daniel Ricciardo on Sebastian Vettel, and you saw the exclamation when Max Verstappen made contact with Esteban Ocon. The stewards looking at that. Looking at Ocon for causing a collision. Here's our now, once again, race leader. 5 seconds clear, Lewis Hamilton over Max Verstappen.
Verstappen then was saving his tyres. He's still quicker than Hamilton, but he's got, as you say, 5.3 to catch up now. And that has certainly changed the face of this race significantly.
Right, let's take a breath here. Hamilton leads, Verstappen second. Kimi Raikkonen is ahead of Valtteri Bottas, because just before the Ocon-Verstappen clash, we were looking at Raikkonen's efforts to get past Bottas, and he did do that, and he's got a 3-second advantage over Bottas now. Ricciardo will now chase after Bottas himself. He's 5th, and Sebastian Vettel 6th, and as it stands, Mercedes will be Constructors' champions for the 5th year in a row.
That front left of Hamilton looking angry again. As I said, it's a passenger on a lot of these fast left curves, and turn 3 of course, but it will start to hurt you in the right-handers and under braking. If it really gets nasty as well, you start locking up that tyre. So Lewis's tyres once again not looking that great.
47 laps completed of the 71, or 46 laps completed of the 71. Will complete lap 47 now. Lewis Hamilton's lead out in front now is under 5 seconds, 4.9 seconds to be exact. And Verstappen, who's been pretty calm for most of this race, I'm sure is absolutely seething as he sets after Hamilton once again, and through that middle sector, still Martin has a massive advantage.
He's only 1.1 ahead of Raikkonen.
Have a look again.
Calm yourself down for the moment, Max.
I don't...
Yeah, mate, massive floor damage.
You're okay because I hear your tyre, not your... He would never...
I don't think I need to comment what happened.
Yeah, look, he has. It did take a massive bite out of
you
the
were ahead
floor.
And he didn't leave your space, I understand.
That's Ocon having a chat with his race engineer. Yeah, so big damage there, Martin.
Yeah, that'll hurt his pace.
And this is Hamilton, who sees the Force India.
And Lewis thinking, is it December the 25th? Is it Christmas already?
Seeing a car pointing the wrong way, you know there's been trouble. Well, and on the left-hand side of there, Max Verstappen was the one involved. Remember Jos Verstappen hitting Juan Pablo Montoya once in 2001? Montoya on his way to victory?
Yes.
In that Grand Prix?
4, wasn't it?
Like father, like son, Ted Kravitz, they say.
Well, I don't know about that, but anyway, yeah, you don't give Lewis Hamilton a gift of 5 seconds in a race and not expect him to take full advantage of it. Interestingly, Christian Horner is talking to Pierre Wache, who's one of the top engineers at Red Bull on the pit wall. I'm watching them now, looking forward to looking through the data and seeing exactly how much this is going to affect Verstappen. If Verstappen can claw some or all of that 5 seconds back between now and the end of the race. The Red Bull pit wall's just next to the Force India pit wall, of course. They have been sort of shooting evils to each other. And yes, before you conspiracy theorists say that Esteban Ocon is a Mercedes young driver and this benefited Hamilton, we know that, but no, he's not the kind of person who'd do that.
And now we're hearing on the radio, power unit concern for Lewis.
Well, and Bottas is starting to blister up his rear medium tyres now as well, Martin, so that could happen to the other Mercedes.
Lots to happen yet then, Ted.
Getting to that stage in the season, as one leading engineer said to me yesterday, where things start to get a bit tired. People start to get cranky, engines start to get a bit cranky, things, suffer from fatigue a little bit, and expect the unexpected. Maybe we should expect nothing and see what the rest of this race delivers now. We're on lap 50, and there's Daniel Ricciardo showing the struggles that Valtteri Bottas is having, because look how he is now caught up to the back of that Mercedes.
You know what a burglar Daniel Ricciardo is? He's always stealing races. Offer him a chance for a surprise victory. He's flying along. We know that the two Mercedes are hurting a little bit on their tyres. We know that Verstappen's got a broken floor. Ricciardo's only 10 seconds off the lead.
And he's lapping at about a second a lap quicker than the race leader.
If he can clear some of these cars, if he can clear Bottas and Raikkonen quickly, he might be right in there, especially if it starts to drizzle.
So he could be right in there. His teammate was right in there and leading, and is now 4.1 seconds off the pace of Lewis Hamilton. That's a significant gain in the last lap there. Hamilton continues to lead the race and might yet still win it, you never know. And Kimi Raikkonen, don't forget, is in the hunt because he's only 6 seconds off the lead.
Can you go quicker? Can you go quicker? You are considering to stop again?
I'm trying to go as fast as I can.
And Sebastian Vettel wishes he was right in the hunt, but sadly, it's not kind of going his way as it stands at the moment. Now, if Ricciardo's going to win this, he needs to clear Valtteri Bottas in the next couple of laps. Trouble is, he's not quite got the straight line pace to get past the Mercedes. As in the background, Brendan Hartley comes in for another pit stop and comes out in 12th place.
Yeah, so Vettel struggling for pace. So Hamilton, it seems like he's probably had to turn his engine down. He's been told, we don't want to lose this power unit. So that's enabling Verstappen to nibble away at the lead down to 4.3, as you can see for yourselves.
I assume that power unit's still got duties to perform in Abu Dhabi then for the final race. And we're on board now with Carlos Sainz. And is that Esteban Ocon that he's just passed? And he's having a look to see where Ocon is. And yes, Carlos Sainz up in the 13th with Esteban Ocon down in 14th. Ocon's teammate Sergio Perez is in the points. He's running 10th at the moment. Kevin Magnussen 9th for Haas as he bids to get back into the points. Romain Grosjean is running just ahead of him. Grosjean hasn't been in the points since Japan. Ahead of Grosjean, Charles Leclerc. Another performance from Charles Leclerc, 7th place, running his own race, not really getting involved in anyone else, but picking up a really strong haul of points. And then the top 6, Ricciardo chasing after Valtteri Bottas, chasing Martin, and about 3 car lengths too far back for him to make a move.
And we're going to get a second chance to see Verstappen versus Hamilton this afternoon, by the looks of it. It's, what have we got left? 19 laps. He's sort of nibbling away 2-3 tenths. So, it's going to be close to the end.
You just put your personal best sector 2 in there. You've still got some in this.
Still plenty of grip.
Don't give up yet. And on fresher tyres, of course. So should have that grip right to the end.
Interestingly, Hamilton quicker in the middle sector on this lap. Was that because
I think
Verstappen just had to pass Gasly?
I think you're right. I think you're right on that one. Jonathan Wheatley, long-time sporting director at Red Bull Racing, massively experienced, watching on. They've seen Sebastian Vettel here in the rain once with massive bodywork damage, limp home and get a championship. They want Verstappen to try and limp home and get a race win here. Now is Ricciardo closer to Valtteri Bottas through the Curva do Sol, this time to try and make a move. He's got DRS assistance. He's gaining. Bottas slams on the brakes, then Ricciardo, and he's still just that bit too far back.
That was a crucial lap for Verstappen last time around. Not a good lap at all. And Raikkonen's getting very close to the back of him.
So no more overtake for the moment.
Okay, mate. Bottas is not allowed to use any more overtake. He's been using it a lot this lap. He might be a bit more vulnerable.
Now, whether that's because by using that overtake mode even, he's using a bit too much fuel or putting too much stress and strain on the engine, Valtteri Bottas is not going to have the pace on this straight. So our Red Bull now going to say, Max, turn your engine up to quali mode, give yourself a big boost here, and Ricciardo, give yourself a big boost and you might just be able to get him. Let's see, great vantage point this, riding on board with the Red Bull. Packed grandstands on the right hand side as Sebastian Vettel comes into the pits and Daniel Ricciardo can't quite get past Valtteri Bottas going into turn 1.
And they may as well do that. It's like a free pit stop for Vettel in 6th place at the moment. They may as well try something out. He will come out behind Leclerc, but he won't be too much of a problem to pass, especially with a decent set of... I think they've just done an installation lap, those super softs.
Absolutely. So comes back out into the race as Charles Leclerc moves past one of the Williams and manages to lap. I think that's Lance Stroll that he's managed to lap there. Vettel will come out behind that gaggle of back markers then.
It didn't work that well, did it? I mean, the two Saubers, Leclerc is not going to give him a hard time at all. His teammate for next year.
And Ricciardo very, very close to Valtteri Bottas in this lap, trying to keep an eye on what's been going on there. That is the state of Lewis Hamilton's front left tyre.
The people struggling on tyres.
Vettel has just stopped again. Not sure why.
Yeah, they just want to give him a chance to make a late dash.
Well, as I said, it's a free stop, isn't it? Because he's going to come out in 6th place. He may as well try something.
And were they thinking about pitting Valtteri Bottas? I wonder there. Is he really struggling on his tyres? There's the race leader. There's the man in 2nd place. There's the man in 3rd place, who's quite close to it as well. And by the way, there's 5th place, 4th place and 5th place. And Ricciardo still in hot pursuits, as they say in Hazard County. Head down to you.
They were thinking of pitting Valtteri Bottas, but now they've gone back in, as you can see, I think, on the TV, Crofty, at Mercedes. But yeah, Sebastian Vettel always goes a bit better on these red stripe super soft tyres. But what a strange afternoon for him after showing so well on race pace on Friday throughout the weekend, looking great in straight line and all of that. They just want to, all of these top 6 guys, they want to avoid the worst of the best moniker, don't they?
Yeah.
If all like the people like Haas and Sauber and Renault want to be best of the rest, they don't want to be worst of the best.
Wooden spoon.
Verstappen's just dialed in the fastest middle sector, the one that needs the grip, the tricky one. There's all corners, and so he certainly isn't lacking downforce at the moment, but they all do. The top 3, 1:12.0, all 3 of them. Bottas a touch slower, but this has held Ricciardo up badly. Remember when I said I thought he got a sniff of at least 3rd, but possibly even a victory this afternoon? He was 10 seconds behind. He's now 10.3. He needs to clear this Mercedes.
Yeah.
Valtteri, can you hold Ricciardo up for sure? And just let us have a think. Just let us know.
Not without overtake or race clock. Okay, mate. We will get him eventually.
Yeah, but he probably needed to get him a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, it's cost him dearly.
It certainly has. Fascinating battle there. So Verstappen with that mega middle sector, he's still losing out though, Martin, in the 1st and 3rd sectors. And he hasn't got that straight line speed that the Mercedes has, which is really helping Lewis Hamilton in the fight. The gap is coming down, but look, at the moment, 3.3 seconds, and they're into that final sector. It might be about 3.8 by the end of the lap. Stoffel Van Dorn, at the last moment, decides to go to the right of Lance Stroll.
I think he had to at the last moment, because the Williams went to the left.
So, here we go. Valtteri Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo down towards turn 1. Bottas in 4th place. Ricciardo in 5th. And Esteban Ocon has been given a 10-second stop-go penalty for causing a collision, which will be of no comfort whatsoever to Max Verstappen, but the stewards blaming Ocon.
I think the leader is entitled to expect clear passage against a lapped car.
Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel separated by 0.3 of a second. Next year they will be racing teammates. At the moment they're racing rivals. Can Leclerc show Sebastian Vettel his defensive moves, and Vettel get a very close-up view of it? We'll see how long that goes on for. Big brake dust coming out of the side of the front tyres of the Sauber.
I really expected the Sauber Ferrari driver to be told, just get out of the way, he's on much faster tyres than you, but he's not at all, is he? The right rear looks nasty on Leclerc's car. He, of course, pitted on lap 35.
Otmar Safnauer, Force India team principal. A sterling defence of your driver, Otmar. The stewards, though, think Esteban Ocon very much at fault and deserving a 10-second stop-go penalty. It's a big penalty, isn't it?
It's a big penalty, and I completely disagree. You're allowed to unlap yourself, and Verstappen didn't leave any room. Totally disagree.
But if the room's not there, to try and squeeze your way past. Should a back marker have a little more respect for the race leader, in your opinion?
Well, have a look at it again, Crofty.
Well, I'm sure we'll be analysing this, Otmar, until the cows come home tonight.
Yeah, analyse it and then let me know.
OK, we will do that. The answer is no to that particular question.
Yeah, he's got to fight his corner, has Otmar, but I'm not surprised at all at the penalty.
I'm trying to remember the last time we had a car unlapping himself to the race leader. Lewis Hamilton did it a few years ago to Sebastian Vettel, I think it was, at Hockenheim. Let's have a look at it again. Otmar wants us to do that.
So
Verstappen's ahead.
Verstappen's ahead. He's leading the race. He's a lap ahead. And even if that was for position, I think Ocon would have taken a penalty, frankly. But he would argue that Verstappen turned in him, but Verstappen is within his rights, I think.
Ricciardo goes down the inside on Valtteri Bottas. Has he got his man this time? He has.
And perfectly, Bottas, wrong-footed, will not get DRS down the back straight.
And Bottas there backed out of that move before the two came together as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. Look how much Ricciardo now has sailed away from Valtteri Bottas. But there's a moment here where Bottas could have carried on fighting this. Imagine that was a pink car. And they're a little bit further ahead, you know. Did Valtteri Bottas show Esteban Ocon the way to back out the right side there?
Bottas was busy trying not to fly off the outside of the track, actually, slightly different circumstances, but in any event, that's Ocon serving his penalty.
Was Verstappen ahead of Ocon when the two cars made contact? And if he was, did he then have to leave room?
He was ahead, and he was leading the race, and the other car was lapped. So I can understand why Max didn't bother looking again, actually, because you wouldn't expect to be lunged like that from somebody who's a lap behind you.
Right, so Ricciardo's got his man, and he's up into fourth place, and now Valtteri Bottas does pit. He's got a free pit stop ahead of Sebastian Vettel. This is Mercedes just covering off, I think, the threat of Vettel behind Bottas. Looking further ahead, the gap out in front is down to about 3.3 seconds. It's going to change in a minute because Verstappen is so much quicker through the middle sector. Bottas will come out behind Sainz and Hartley, who have been lapped, and ahead of Sebastian Vettel, who's just going through turn one now. You might have seen it in the top left-hand side of your screen. You can see him plunging down the hill. Pit stop completed, soft tyres on. And Vettel and Bottas, I'm sure, will be a scrap to the end of the race as well.
Verstappen running out of laps, isn't he? They've got a lot of traffic coming up. Alonso, Perez, Ocon, Stroll, Van Dorn, Sirotkin. They'll probably catch them all before the end of the Grand Prix. And Hamilton will be the one having to part the waters and to get through those back markers. And Kimi sitting there very nicely as well, still within striking distance of Max Verstappen in second.
Ted, it's down to you.
Yeah, Martin, I've been looking at the gap from Hamilton to Verstappen. Started at 5.5, and Verstappen only took about 4 or 5 laps to shave off a second of that, but he's taken 10 or 11 laps to get rid of the next second and a bit. So, as you say, he's running out of laps a bit as the tyres fade.
We've got 10 laps to go then. Who is your driver of the day today? A few candidates for that one. Daniel Ricciardo, by the way, just set the new fastest first sector. Sebastian Vettel setting fastest laps of the race. And Lewis Hamilton out in the lead by about 3.1 seconds to Max Verstappen.
So another scrap brewing up then now. They both pitted. Bottas just a second and a half clear of Vettel as we're watching now.
Half a second. Verstappen was quicker than Hamilton through the middle sector. And through that middle sector, he's consistently making gains. However, Hamilton then stretches the advantage along the straights. And we're running on board now with Daniel Ricciardo. Going a little bit slower than you might have expected. Martin, only just going over 300 kilometres an hour.
Did an 11.4 though, did it personal best. So he's just 3 seconds behind Raikkonen now. Oh, this is shaping up a treat.
We don't need the rain, do we?
Verstappen with 2.9 showing as they went over the line.
But look, Hamilton's just set the fastest first sector of all. I wonder if they've allowed him just to turn his engine up a little bit to ward off any threat. Here's Stoffel Van Dorn and Sergei Sorokin going wheel to wheel through Decido del Lago. Stoffel Van Dorn in his penultimate race in Formula One's probably done more overtaking today than he's done in the last 10.
To 14th, and you must say it's a little bit like Marcus Ericsson. They've been fired, basically. The shackles have come off, and they've both been driving, I think, the best I've seen them drive in F1.
Very good point. 2.5 seconds, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. Bottas has now done a new fastest first sector and now got himself into a bit of traffic, and Sebastian Vettel following on with that traffic as well. Behind the top six, Charles Leclerc on course for another 7th place finish, his second successive 7th place finish and his third in the last 5 races. Mercedes, as you can see on your screen, will lead the Constructors' Championship by 67 points at this rate, enough for them to win the title here in Brazil. Daniel Ricciardo's done another fastest lap of the race. He's only 2.5 seconds now behind Kimi Räikkönen. A few back markers getting in the way, and I think the Bottas has managed to get past the Toro Rosso. Sebastian Vettel hasn't yet.
Well, Fernando Alonso is running effectively last, and now he's under investigation for ignoring the blue flags.
On board with Sebastian Vettel, Brendan Hartley is lapped, and we can go down to 10.
A couple more stories from the pit lane, Crofty, before all this gets very interesting. And that's Sergio Perez running a very lonely race, but at least rescuing a point for Force India in P10. Grosjean, the better of the Haas drivers, as you've said, in P8, but nice return to form for Kevin Magnussen.
2 seconds, 10.
Well, I'm under safe.
And Charles Leclerc, as you say, a bit of a lonely race, sort of stuck in Nowheresville, let Vettel through, but anyway, running well in P7. I've got the information on why Hülkenberg retired as well.
Oh, thank you.
Something blocked the radiators and his engine temperatures were skyrocketing, so they stopped him before it went back.
Thank you very much indeed, Ted. What's the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen? 2.8 seconds. Verstappen, who's never won back-to-back Grand Prix. Hamilton on his way at the moment to a 50th turbo hybrid win in the 99 races in the turbo hybrid era. Whatever happens by the end of the season, if he wins this race, he will have won 50% at least of all the races in the turbo hybrid era. That is a massive dominance from one driver. It really is.
So Ricciardo's now flying along nicely, just 2 seconds behind Kimi Räikkönen. 7 seconds covers the top 4. With Bottas and Vettel having covered each other on the extra pit stop. This is going to be very close indeed in the last 2 or 3 laps. Verstappen still tantalisingly close, but just not gaining enough. Hamilton's got him covered, hasn't he, on pace at the moment.
Just looking ahead here, Alonso and Stroll and Perez. Hamilton will be right with that trio in a few moments' time. Actually, you can see the McLaren of Fernando Alonso just going through your screen there. And the back markers might have an influence on this just yet. It's unbelievable. 6.5 seconds cover the top 4 here. I still think, Martin, any one of those top 4 could win this race, because I'm not sure that patience will be the name of the game if someone does get a chance to overtake.
A lot of back markers coming up, 2 of which are already under investigation.
A 1:10.8 for Valtteri Bottas. That is a new lap record here at Interlagos in this turbo hybrid era. Max Verstappen had the fastest lap last year. Oh, what would he give for a 1:10.5, I'm sure, at the moment. So here's the back markers. Alonso's having his own personal scrap with Lance Stroll here.
Lewis struggling for traction there.
Blue flags coming up, guys.
Copy.
Well, Alonso's trying to get past the Williams. Hamilton wants them both to get out of the way. Alonso does get past the Williams. Hamilton manages to get past the Williams, but he's still behind the McLaren. That might help him a bit. Could get some DRS assistance down the Red Aposta to clear that particular car. But the gap now between Hamilton and Verstappen is down to 1.7 seconds. Hamilton does get DRS, does now manage to get past Fernando Alonso. And there's Max Verstappen right in the background. 2.1 seconds the difference. That DRS gave Hamilton there a net 0.2 advantage through that particular part of the track.
Yeah, but as I said, once again, it's as Hamilton ploughing the furrow through the back markers.
I think they're worn out.
From Valtteri's wear, we think wear won't be an issue.
The head Valtteri's tyres to have a good look at when he came in, of course, so we can still see that front left angry, but it's corners like this where it's largely a passenger, as I mentioned earlier. And Verstappen's lost time in the middle sector. Hamilton's just acing it.
He just got stuck behind Fernando Alonso, but what he does now get is the slipstream behind Alonso going up the hill in a few moments, and DRS assistance as well. 5 laps to go and 5.5 seconds separating the top 4, and Daniel Ricciardo desperately wants to get on the podium from 11th on the grid, and that will be a podium that will be celebrated by all those who want to see a good guy experience some good things, and he's not had many good things to experience in recent races.
We haven't talked much about the Haas team. Sorry about that. Grosjean and Magnussen 8th and 9th, having a very solid race after a very disappointing Mexican Grand Prix.
Yeah, at the moment in that battle in the Constructors' Championship between Haas and Renault, they're going to make inroads into Renault's advantage, but it was 30 points going into this race.
Okay, battery is full, and you got mode 7.
So go for it. 1.7 seconds between Hamilton and Verstappen, make that 1.6 seconds. If he can get that down to under 1 second, get that DRS advantage. Well, you've been praising Verstappen's patience in the last few races, Martin. He's going to go for it. We know he's going to go for it.
Throw that out of the window now, hasn't he? He's got to really attack.
1.3 seconds, really good middle sector from Max Verstappen. There's still back markers ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Dramatic end to the race here at Interlagos as through trying to get past the back markers. Hamilton hasn't managed to do it, as you saw, and Ricciardo trying to get past Kimi Räikkönen and not managing. Hamilton is still stuck behind Sergei Sorokin in the Williams, now manages to get past Sorokin. The trouble that Verstappen's going to find here, Martin, is he's coming up on those back markers on the middle part of this sector, not getting DRS, not getting the straights, and unless they move out of the way straight away, he is going to get held up.
It's going to cost him, isn't it? Lewis cleared the pair of them, and Sorokin moves out of the way, but it worked not very, very nicely for Lewis down into turn 4.
Fernando Alonso almost crawling there through the right-hander as Kimi Räikkönen moves past him. Daniel Ricciardo has to go around the outside. Didn't help Ricciardo, but he's managed to get through, and he's still on Kimi Räikkönen's tail.
Didn't do Ricciardo any favours there at all, that one.
So they'll prepare themselves for the long blast up to turn 1, and can Ricciardo pull off another late-breaking move on a Ferrari this afternoon?
I don't know. I don't think they'll catch Ocon and Van Dorn now, the two leaders, so it looks like a clear run to the end. They might just be on them in the final lap.
3 laps to go, 1.5 seconds is the advantage. Kimi Räikkönen has Sergei Sorokin between himself and Daniel Ricciardo. Sorokin doing well to keep out of the way. Now, has Ricciardo got close enough to Kimi Räikkönen so that he can make a move down the back straight and towards turn 4?
Car's not sounding, got no grip.
Can use more EB or BMIG 2.
Hamilton struggling for grip.
So that left front, so when he goes around the slow right-handers, such as turn 10, for example, it'll just wash across the surface. It'll really hurt. These kind of corners, he just will not get the bite from the front tyre. Oh, how close is this going to be? 5-second time penalty for Fernando Alonso for ignoring blue flags. We said he was under investigation from the stewards. They don't look clever at all, those tyres on Lewis Hamilton's car. It's sliding around, but has Max Verstappen, don't forget, with bodywork damage after that contact with Esteban Ocon, got enough grip to make a dent into Hamilton's lead with only 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Verstappen was leading the race. Ocon tried to unlap himself. The two came together. Hamilton retook the lead of this Brazilian Grand Prix. 1.5 seconds between Mercedes and Red Bull. The gap then for Kimi Räikkönen and Daniel Ricciardo is a lot closer, but Ricciardo can't quite close in on the Ferrari into turn 1. Valtteri Bottas, Sebastian Vettel, they are the subplots this afternoon. The main event is taking place between their teammates and the 2 Red Bulls. We're on board with Daniel Ricciardo. Down towards the Ciudad de Lago we go. The Red Bull will now catch the Ferrari in this part of the track, but can he force a way past? It's been a steady first sector for Verstappen. We know it's in the middle part that he makes the difference. Looks like Hamilton's got it covered to me.
And once again, the Ferrari just a few car lengths ahead of the Red Bull. Raikkonen ahead of Ricciardo for another podium, but who will get that final podium? Will it be a 103rd for Kimi Raikkonen? Will it be a 30th for Daniel Ricciardo?
Hamilton's just done a personal best in that crucial middle sector where the Red Bull is still a little bit faster, but not by much this time around.
Drama all the way to the checkered flag here at Interlagos. You wouldn't expect anything else, would you, of the Brazilian Grand Prix? And we are on to the final lap, and the top four separated by only 5 seconds. Daniel Ricciardo needs the exit of his life out of the Senna S's to try and put pressure on Kimi Raikkonen through Decido de Lago. And now down the Reta Aposta, speeds of up to 200 miles an hour. He's gaining, he's gaining, he's gaining. Surely he's too far back. He left it as late as possible, and this time he was just a bit too far back.
There's absolute turmoil going on between Gasly and Hartley in the two Toro Rossos, fighting like crazy over 11th and 12th, demanding they each get out of the way.
That one's getting a little bit personal as well. Out in front, Lewis Hamilton has just half a lap to try and survive. He's getting no grip. His tyres have been on that car since lap 19. He's been struggling at times, but he has the lead. Can he hold on to it as Ricciardo fights back towards Raikkonen once again? The leader of this race is at Junsao, the corner 10 years ago, where he overtook Timo Glock and won the World Championship. This time around in 2018, he's out in front. Lewis Hamilton is going to cross the line and win the Brazilian Grand Prix. His 50th win in 99 races in the turbo hybrid era. It's a fantastic achievement. Max Verstappen comes home to take second place. The victory could have been his, and I'm sure we'll hear about that contact with Esteban Ocon quite a lot. Kimi Raikkonen holds on for another podium for himself in the Ferrari, just ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Valtteri Bottas beats Sebastian Vettel for 5th and 6th, and Mercedes, for the 5th year in succession, are the Constructors' Championship. It was high fives for Hamilton in Mexico. It's high fives for the 1,000+ staff of Brackley and Brixworth, who can celebrate their achievement here at Interlagos.
What an amazing team, what an amazing set of results.
Yes, that's it, Lewis, that's the double, mate. Mercedes AMG Petronas, world champs. Lewis Hamilton, world champ.
I can hear the conspiracy theories brewing up. Mercedes, a young driver, Esteban Ocon, dives into the side of, whilst lapped of leader Max Verstappen. Well, there's going to be a lot of talk about that particular incident.
Oh, yeah.
It was obviously race-defining, but when push came to shove, Hamilton had the speed. He nursed his tyres and kept his head and got it done. Verstappen flying along despite bodywork damage, and 5 seconds covered the top 4 at the end. Good race.
Esteban Ocon getting the 10-second stop-go penalty. Strongly disagreed on the pit wall at Force India. I believe their man was treated very harshly indeed. Lots to talk about. Hashtag Ask Crofty. We'll answer some tweets in a moment when we've calmed down after that race. Charles Leclerc does come home to finish 7th for the 2nd race in a row.
Mate, I don't know what to say, mate. I do not know what to say about that.
Yeah, I know what to say. I hope I can't find him now in the paddock, because then he has...
Not quite sure what Max Verstappen said there, Martin, but it wasn't because I want to read him a bedtime story.
Got a reasonable idea.
Lewis Hamilton, race winner. And a race winner for the 72nd time, and you'd have thought he'd have practiced that a little bit more. I hope they're all okay.
Harry's just gone down there. They're all up again.
But this is what it means to the team, who celebrated with Hamilton for his own personal achievement, and now he can celebrate with his crew and with the crew from the other side of the garage as well. A 5th successive Constructors' Championship. Only one team, Martin, have ever done that before. That was Ferrari between 99 and 2004, when they won 6 in a row. It's phenomenal. Through rules and regulation changes as well, they've come out on top.
It's a team that's still got the same company registration number as Tyrrell, because it merged from Tyrrell through various teams, BAR, didn't it?
BAR to Honda to Braun.
and Brackley there and Brixworth for the engines. They've dominated this hybrid era. They came in with such an advantage, but they've had staying power, and other teams are going to have to find something pretty special to stop them doing it again next year.
Max Verstappen in the background, you can understand his rage, you can understand how he feels. That was a race win that would have been his if they hadn't have had the contact with Esteban Ocon. And we can see how much it means now to everyone back at Brackley. Champions, they shout in race support. That army of engineers and technicians, Martin, who are linked up to the racetrack throughout the weekend. A proper team sport, a proper team effort.
And congratulations to them. But with the engine department, there's 1,500 people. Obviously, they supply engines to more than one team. But to put 2 racing cars on the grid, such is the level of F1.
It's a lot of people come together to allow the gladiators to go and do battle on the racetrack on any given Sunday. Verstappen, driver of the day, no consolation. He would have been expecting victory. He's now only 3 points behind Valtteri Bottas in the Drivers' Championship, and only 17 points behind Kimi Räikkönen. Let's see if we can find Paul di Resta, and we can hear from Max now.
I don't know what to say. I mean, you do everything well. I mean, you go through the field. We had a great car, and then by such an idiot, you get taken out while he's being lapped. I have no words.
You can see the mutual respect here. I mean, what a fight it was. I don't think anybody quite expected that from yesterday. I mean, the moves you were making early on, very bold into turn 1, pushing your way through, using everything you had.
Yeah, I think it was better than expected, but the car was working brilliantly today. The team gave me also the right strategy. We could be going quite well on the super soft, so we did quite a long stint. But yeah, I don't know what to say. Still, I mean, I'm happy for second, but we should have won today.
Yeah, like you say, it was almost back-to-back victories. Does it give you confidence going into next year that something's going to come of this machine?
Yeah, we should have more power, so we'll be even better.
All the best. You can see, obviously, the emotion around here, you can see hanging around. We'll try and grab Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi, late pressure from Daniel coming in, and a good race from you.
Yeah, it was good. Not easy, but was some battling, so it was fun. You know, obviously we hope better, but not the easiest.
Obviously, Ferrari's tyre choice didn't look like it worked out in the end. These guys looked very strong at the beginning. Certainly Max on the super soft. Do you think that was wrong?
I don't know. My car was good, but it was difficult to pass, and it took too long to pass. So you know, you never know. We cannot replay on other tyres, so we don't know what happened.
Thanks for your time. Going to go to Lewis. Still congratulating his team. Lewis, that's 2018 Constructors Champion as well. And you can see what that means to Toto Wolff. The barriers have fallen over twice here in Parc-Fermé, which is unusual. Lewis, what does that mean to the team?
Honestly, these guys have worked so hard the last 6 years. It's been an incredible journey with them. And this is what everyone works for the whole year, you know? Everyone wakes up, goes to work every day, and tries to bring the best out of themselves. And it really pulled together as a unit. And I've always told you how much of an honor it is to drive for them. And today was like the best style that we could do it, because we were struggling. We had problems with the engine. And obviously he passed us like we were a sitting duck at one stage. But then obviously he made a mistake, and that brought us back into contention. And I'm just so proud of everyone. Everyone back home, thank you so much for your continued efforts. For all our partners, all our sponsors who without we would not be here powering along to a win in Brazil. So God bless you, thank you.
What goes through your minds when you see Verstappen spin? Did you know he was going to be back on a charge and coming strong?
I mean, I saw it happen, and it wasn't something that I wasn't surprised by it or anything like that. I mean, I saw them racing, but they weren't racing for the same position. And in my mind, I would have been in a different frame of mind. But you know, fortunately, he was able to keep going. No one got hurt, and they kept going. It's a racing incident, I guess. But you know that Max is like that go-getter guy, and every now and then it bites you. So, but I'm really, really proud that I don't care about anybody else.
I've got one last question. Big credit to you. That's 49 wins in the turbo hybrid era of Formula 1. That's 50% of all the races. A lot of that's owed to you, isn't it?
I keep telling you, I'm just chinking the chain. You know, they give me the tools, and I try and do the best I can with it. And you know, I'm proud that I'm able to sometimes bring a little bit more than is needed or that is capable of. But that's what I live for.
Congratulations.
Champagne was on ice. Champagne is now being drunk, and it's 50 wins in this turbo hybrid era for Lewis Hamilton, then, who had never won a race in a season after clinching the World Championship. He'd never taken a pole position in a season after clinching a World Championship, and he's put both of those stats to bed this afternoon. So as the fans celebrate, Martin, I've had a quick look at Twitter. Lewis Hamilton saying there that he might have been in a different frame of mind if he was Max Verstappen. Max is one of those guys that he has a different approach, and sometimes that comes back to bite you. Jack Solomon says, you know, I accept Ocon should have backed off, but does Max have to share some of the blame? He had the lead, and he had Lewis covered. You don't see Lewis trip over back markers. Max takes risks that he doesn't need to. Is that a fair point or not?
That's the debate, isn't it? Should Max Verstappen have left more space against Ocon? And, you know, was Ocon remotely right in lunging him into the turn two, because they were both going to come off quite badly in that one. So I'm with the stewards on that one. Max could have left him some more space. It's not always about who you hit, it's who hits you as well. But I think he thought he was well clear, and it was a lapped runner. So he wasn't expecting that. I don't know why he should have expected a lunge from Esteban Ocon in a lapped Force India at that moment.
Because in a straight line, the Force India was that much faster than the Red Bull is in a straight line. Ocon finds himself going to the corner with an opportunity to overtake, and well, you know, racing drivers, give them an opportunity, they'll go for it. But Max then was ahead, and it's whether Ocon should have fought it back to me as well. Carry on the debate, hashtag Ask Crofty. I think Martin's going to be talking about this a lot in the paddock as well. Lewis Hamilton, the race winner then, ahead of Verstappen, Raikkonen and Ricciardo, and as Martin said, 5 seconds between the top four. Good points haul for Haas, 25 points the difference between themselves and Renault, I think. 24 points between themselves and Renault. Sergio Perez with a solitary point for Force India. Could have been so much more. We lost Marcus Ericsson, who was shedding bodywork earlier on like it was going out of fashion. Nico Hulkenberg from mechanical retirement as well. Lance Stroll for Williams was the last man across the line. Stoffel Van Dorn finishing 14th and getting some overtaking done today. A classic Brazilian Grand Prix, wasn't it? From start to finish.
Except it didn't rain.
Yeah.
It'll rain as they all start pulling the teams apart.
Let's have a little listen to the drivers.
Yeah. So you wanted to unlap himself.
I mean, he is allowed to unlap himself.
No, I know. But, I mean, you can't crush it either, can you? It's not doing anything crazy.
He had more to lose than he did.
Yeah, but I mean, when you want
you had more to lose than he did. He had nothing to lose. Good job. Good job. You struggled at the start. You struggled in the beginning?
Not really, but it was difficult to pass. Max passed me, and then I stuck behind Walter, and then I
A really interesting moment there as Lewis Hamilton turns to Max Verstappen discussing the incident, Martin, and reminds him that, well, A, Ocon is able to unlap himself, but B, you, Max, had more to lose in that incident.
Yes. Yeah, I think Lewis has really got his head around all of that, hasn't he? Obviously came across it after it had happened. Bono there, Nathan to his left, Lewis's #1 mechanic.
Simon Lazenby right down there in the middle of all the celebrations as well. We'll hear from some of the Mercedes team in a few moments. I think what we've seen today, Hamilton and Verstappen, and a really good tussle between them, we are going to see more and more often in the future. Which is why I find it refreshing that Hamilton is there giving a bit of advice to Max Verstappen as well.
Yeah, so Max has probably spent slightly less time raising a digit to Esteban Ocon. He might have been a touch closer to the Mercedes at the end of the race.
So Kimi Räikkönen marks his 150th start for Ferrari with a podium. Max Verstappen says we should be happy today because we finished second, but the win could have been there. The win, though, goes to Lewis Hamilton and to Mercedes, who seal the Constructors' Championship, and Hamilton picks up yet another victory.
And the Constructors' Champions, Mercedes-AMG Petronas, the British and German national anthems.
So congratulations are relayed over the public address system to Lewis Hamilton then, who picks up from the Mayor of Sao Paulo a second winner's trophy for the Brazilian Grand Prix. As in 2016, he's won from pole. As in 2016, a lot of the chatter dominated by Max Verstappen as well, but for very different reasons today. Andrew Shovlin, the Director of Trackside Engineering for Mercedes, picks up the Constructors' Trophy. Massive smiles. And not just because they all pick up a very nice bonus as well, but the hard work, the long hours have paid off with yet another championship.
And Andrew Shovlin, of course, very much part of the team with Jenson Button, wasn't he, for the World Championship with Brawn.
Jenson Button, and then went on to engineer Michael Schumacher as well when he was with the Mercedes team, and now is overall charge of engineering. Been with that team for a very long time. Kimi Räikkönen has been with Ferrari for a very long time as well. In his penultimate race for them, picks up yet another podium. And he has been a modicum of consistency, hasn't he, this season? His second, third place in a row. Lewis Hamilton has already started the celebrations as Max Verstappen walks off. The win could have been his. It was taken away from him when he tangled with Esteban Ocon. He does not want to stay around and do the celebration samba. Hamilton and Mercedes pick up the points and the plaudits today. The smiles are all theirs at Interlagos, driver and Constructors' Champions in 2018.